All right, I want to welcome everyone to our live Saturday morning presentation. Everyone should be able to see my screen. You'll see at the top of it the power of a good testimonial, and then you'll see the graphic that I have, stuff worth shouting about. And in parentheses, it says the word from our satisfied clients. And that's really what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about the power of a good testimonial, and those testimonials come from your clients. As you engage with your clients and you help them apply nitric oxide therapy to improve their cardiovascular health, or you help them to apply resetting their gut health for their microbiome to either address weight management or other types of gut health issues, again, they provide you with the ability to have a testimonial. And what we want to help you understand is the power of a good testimonial will help you grow your Synergy business. Now, what I want to do is I've done presentations before in the past on this topic, as well as I've done presentations on utilizing information to validate what you're talking about. And so I want to start off by validating the power of a good testimonial, not because I tell you this, but because of what the market tells you. And so I found this article that you can look at if you want to on your own. 20 impactful statistics and 7 reasons to include testimonials into your marketing campaigns. And we're not going to look at the 10 or at the 20 impactful statistics, but what we are going to do is briefly look at the 7 reasons. And reason number 1, marketing executives at competing companies know the value of social proof and are using testimonials in their content marketing regularly. And it goes down and it talks about item number 3, customer testimonials and case studies are considered the most effective content marketing tactics identified by 89% and 88% respectively of B2B marketers, business to business marketers. And I want to pull out one small phrase that they use, case studies. Case studies are another way for you to do an excellent testimonial. And I'll give you a couple examples towards the end of our presentation today of what would look like a case study. A little bit different than a testimonial. A case study is a little bit more involved in your presentation. But again, from a social media standpoint, these are things that you can put up on your social media page and be able to help create interest through the testimonials of the people that you're working with. Number 2, testimonials create an emotional appeal to your branding and help convey your overall brand message. So if my overall brand message is the Million Lives Project, helping 1 million people or more understand the power of nitric oxide therapy to naturally address most cardiovascular health concerns, then my testimonials that I share need to apply to what nitric oxide therapy and the application of it did for my client, moving them from what they were and to where they're at now. And this will, again, I'll give you an example of showing you what that looks like in a powerful and emotionally appealing testimonial. Reason number 3, video testimonials help boost your email marketing conversions. So again, not just the written testimonial, but being able to have video testimonials will help you in this whole process of being able to have people see that the information that you're sharing can have a very impactful message or impact on them. Reason number 4, photo and video testimonials help increase your social media engagement. Pretty much we've talked about that. Number 5, reason 5, instantly boost the sales of your product or service by using testimonials to influence leads. And then number 6 is video testimonials create more impactful landing pages. And reason number 7, testimonials help facilitate word of mouth promotion by increasing trust and incentive. Again, this is not me saying this, but this is people in the industry of marketing. People who are experts, people who are doing this for a living, understand the value of a good testimonial in your ability to either promote what you're trying to do, create interest to what you're trying to do, and bottom line, be able to move product, be able to create a valid business opportunity. And we want to be able to do that. Now, if we've been in network marketing, we typically have most likely seen this statement. It's typical to the network marketing industry, but it's also typical to the general marketing industry. Facts tell, but stories sell. And one of the things that I had to learn in my I lean more towards facts. I lean more towards giving people facts, and I've had to learn how to take those facts and put it into what I call a narrative, because stories sell. Because stories help to engage a person from an emotional standpoint. Certainly, facts are important, but it's the emotional aspect of what that story says. Now, um, I don't remember the car company, but it's a fantastic ad. I'll just maybe you've seen it. It's a guy who works in a some type of factory, and he's walking out of the factory into an alley. And they do cutaways of people that know him and telling his best friend what a great guy he is, and his wife and how much she loves him, and his mom and how important he is to the family and their kids, and all of a sudden you see him and he turns and he's got this look of fear, shock on his face. And then you see people that they just cut away to, they're crying, they look distressed. And then you see this car coming down on him. And before the driver can even react, because of the systems that are now part of cars, with the sonar systems that are in the bumpers, the car already knew that person was there and started to stop the car even before the driver put his foot on the brake. And instead of him being hit by the car stops just in front of him. And he's got this look of relief. And then you see the cutaway back to all those people who were talking, who were engaged with him, and everything's happy and everything's joyful. And they pan to the back of the car and they show the identity of the car, the make of the car. I can't remember if it's Honda or if it's one of the other cars, but it's a really powerful commercial because it hits people on an emotional level. Stories sell. So they could have talked about all the facts about that car, how their sonar system and all the different technical aspects of that. But what they did is they took the facts of their car and they put it into a narrative story that most likely sells a lot of cars because of the safety feature that's part of that car. And that's what we're talking about here. The proper use of products and business testimonials are fundamental to acquiring customers and attracting business builders. So learning how to position other people's testimonials and learning how to properly share your testimonial can be a great asset to growing your synergy business. And there's two types of testimonials: business and product. Today, we're going to focus on product testimonials. As I showed last week in my referral campaign that I'm using to quadruple my client base, you can create a very significant synergy business just through your customer base. And so you want to have product testimonials that allow you to attract customers to you, potential clients, so that as you begin to engage with them, you can help them begin to apply the synergy products to help them make positive changes in their life. And then if you're able to gather their testimonial, be able to leverage those testimonials to continue this process of growing your customer base, because you have social proof of how your product and how you've worked with your clients have helped them achieve positive outcomes. And so we want to look at a product testimonial. And their purpose is to build bonds of trust, to improve credibility, and to demonstrate success. So when you share a very strong testimonial, especially a strong product testimonial, you're helping to demonstrate success, that you've been able to help other people achieve a positive outcome. That improves your credibility of who you are and how you work with people. And in that process of being able to share your success with other people, you're able to begin to build a level of trust with that individual that you're talking to that can at some point in time bridge to the point where they trust you enough to want to use the product and be able to derive similar levels of success to what you just shared with them. Now, when you do a testimonial, there's a couple key qualities that you need to have. Really, it boils down to just four. You have to have a person attached to it. You want brevity, you want an emotion, and you want a definable benefit. Now, they don't necessarily have to be in that order, but you need to have all four of them as part of your testimonial. And the area that most people really fall short on is the area of brevity. If your testimonial that you share with a person is going longer than 90 seconds, your testimonial is way too long. I don't know if you've been in meetings where people get up and share their testimonial and they start saying, I'm not used to doing this. And, I remember as a kid and, it's like, okay, it takes 5 minutes for them to get to their testimonial. I'm telling you that doesn't work. You need to make sure that your testimonial is impactful, is definable, has brevity, and that there's a person attached to it so that people can relate to it. That this is, it's not my dog's testimonial, it's not my cat's testimonial. If I'm talking to another human being, I don't want them to know how my cat benefited by improved gut health. I want them to know how my client improved through changing their microbiome. And then this is extremely important. And I can't emphasize this more than just saying this is extremely important. From a key phrasing standpoint, all your testimonials need to be about nitric oxide therapy, not ProArch-9 Plus. Again, I'm going to emphasize it one more time. All your testimonials, if you're talking about ProArch-9 Plus, your testimonials need to be about what nitric oxide therapy did to help you and your client, not about what ProArch-9 Plus did. And the reason why is if you use nitric oxide therapy, you'll be able to clearly define your testimonial and the benefits that happen to that individual based upon nitric oxide therapy, and you'll not get yourself, you'll not get Synergy Worldwide, and you'll not get ProArch-9 Plus into trouble with the FTC. Because if you share a powerful testimonial, then at some point in time in the conversation, they're going to want to know, well, how did you do it? And that's where the next phrase, our product of choice, is extremely important. So it's always your testimonial is in nitric oxide therapy. Or if you're doing something with regards to weight management, it's not the Biome Shake, it's not the Biome Core Kit. It is, I reset my gut health. And when I reset my gut health, I was able to change my diet without cravings, and I was able to lose 20 pounds. So it's all about changing your gut health, or in this case, because nitric oxide therapy is my main marketing strategy, it's all about nitric oxide therapy. What can nitric oxide therapy do to address high blood pressure? What can nitric oxide therapy do to address diabetic complications? What can nitric oxide therapy do to improve cognitive function? What can nitric oxide therapy do to help men with erectile dysfunction? What can nitric oxide therapy do to improve wound healing? What can nitric oxide therapy do to improve athletic performance? It's all about, you could even take kidney function. What can nitric oxide therapy do to improve kidney function? Everything has to do with what nitric oxide therapy can do to address that person's health concerns. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you two examples. I'm going to give you an example of my wife, Sherry, and then I'm going to give you an even shorter example of utilizing my wife, Sherry's testimonial. So my wife, Sherry, she's been on ProArginine Plus since 2009. So she's been on the product for well over 10 years. And so, see, if I go down that route, that's her testimonial. And what happens is I begin to take a long way of getting around to what happened to my wife. And at some point in time, I lose the person's interest. So here, I'm talking to a person who's got high blood pressure. And so I would say to that individual, well, let me share with you how nitric oxide therapy helped my wife, Sherry, naturally address her high blood pressure. Her blood pressure was 160/90. And her doctor encouraged her to try some lifestyle changes before going on medication. So we researched natural methods and came across Nobel Prize winning information on how nitric oxide can help many return their blood pressure back to normal. So my wife applied this information and her blood pressure lowered from 112/68 and it's been a relief, has lowered to 112/68. It's been a relief for both Sherry and I that our blood pressure has been stable for the last 9 years. Now, that still is a bit too long to be as powerful as what it could be. I'm going to show you a shorter, what I think is an even more powerful variation. But what you see is I've highlighted certain things. What's the important information? I want to make sure that everything is about nitric oxide therapy. That's what helped my wife. Nitric oxide therapy. I want to define the parameters of her experience. Her experience was that she initially had blood pressure that was 160/90. That's the starting point. So I've got to define the benefit. The only way you define a benefit is to help people know what the starting point was and what the end point is. So the starting point was 160/90. To validate in their mind that nitric oxide therapy has validation, Nobel Prize winning information. The result lowered my wife's blood pressure to 112/68. The emotional response, relief, and it's been stable for the last 9 years. Now, if you share a powerful testimonial with a person and you leave it at just that, they may or may not respond to it. But if you do a powerful testimonial and then you ask a question, your probability of getting a positive response is going to be significantly greater. So it's one thing to share a very strong testimonial, but it's even better to share a strong testimonial with a strong question at the end. That question is, would you like more information on how nitric oxide therapy could be a natural way to address your high blood pressure? Now, I've taken that testimonial, and here is what I would cut it down to. My alternative testimonial for my wife. Talking to that person who's got high blood pressure. Since you have high blood pressure, you might want to know about nitric oxide therapy. It's a natural way to address this issue. And it's what helped my wife, Sherry, take her blood pressure from 160/90 down to 112/68. What a relief this has been to know that high blood pressure is no longer a health concern for my wife. So, would you like more information on how nitric oxide therapy could be a natural way to address your high blood pressure? Now, that testimonial that I just shared with you is most likely less than 30 seconds, and it has all the components that we're looking for. It has a person attached to it, it has brevity, it has a defined benefit, and it has an emotion. What a relief. So, this is a testimonial that I can easily share on I get a phone call from a person who's seen one of my videos on YouTube, and they want to know if this product will help them with blood pressure. So it's easy for me. I could have this printed off so that I could have it in front of me as part of a cheat sheet that I could use, so that when I'm talking to a person who has high blood pressure on the telephone, I can say, since you have high blood pressure, you want to know how nitric oxide therapy could be a natural way to address your issue. It's what helped my wife Sherry take her blood pressure from 160/90 down to 112/68. It's been such a relief to know that her high blood pressure is no longer a health concern. And so again, that's a variation of what you see on the screen. You're not locked into saying it the same way all the time, but what you are locked into is wanting to make sure that you have the 4 elements. And as you learn how to share testimonials, you'll get better and better at your ability to package them in an impactful way. Now, maybe you're not married to Sherry. I know that you're not. I am. But you can borrow Sherry's testimonial. How would you do that? It's really pretty simple. You're talking to a person who's got high blood pressure. You would just say, I've got a client. Or in this case, you might say, I've got a colleague. His wife, Sherry, she had high blood pressure. So since you have high blood pressure, you might want to know how nitric oxide therapy could be a natural way to address this issue. Now, for my colleague, his wife's blood pressure was 160/90. And when she applied nitric oxide therapy, it took her blood pressure down to 112/68. Not only was that a relief for her, but it was a relief for her husband, because high blood pressure was no longer a health concern for them. So my question to you is this: would you like more information on how nitric oxide therapy could be a natural way to address your high blood pressure? And again, if they're looking for a solution for their high blood pressure and they're not wanting to do medication, or they're not happy with the side effects that their medication is causing them, they'll become open to wanting more information. So if they tell you yes, well, I've got a great video that will help you understand how nitric oxide therapy can be a natural way to help you address your high blood pressure. Can I email you the link to that video? Again, you end with a question. Whenever you end with a question, the mind has to answer the question. And so if you just are quiet, allow them time to process the question, they'll tell you 9 times out of 10 yes. And then you can easily get their email address if you don't have it. And then you can send them an email with a link to that video. So where do you find this type of information? We've shared this in the past. And if you go to our Synergy family, it's a website that we've created for our Synergy organization. We call ourselves our Synergy family, but we make this website available to everyone in Synergy worldwide. Don't need to see me. And we have these links here. So if you want videos on how nitric oxide therapy addresses different things, you just go to the Synergy library. You click on the icon. It takes you into the Synergy library. You want to look for the health and business videos, so you click there, or the health videos. You click there, and then as you scroll down, if you click on health videos, you'll see the old video versions that we have that we've never taken down. They still gain traction, still get calls from people who see these things. Give it a couple more seconds for it to load. Here it comes. And so you have the older videos. You can see, for African American health, Alzheimer's disease, cholesterol concerns, diabetic complications, high blood pressure. post-traumatic stress disorder, Raynaud's syndrome, sexual function, stroke prevention, the secret to cardiovascular health, women's heart health, wound healing. And then you see the newer videos that we did, where we do everything in relationship to nitric oxide therapy. We have a general video on nitric oxide therapy and how it addresses cardiovascular health issues. Then we have a video called The Truth About L-citrulline. But then we get into the specific videos, how nitric oxide therapy addresses athletic performance or wound healing or cognitive function or sexual function or diabetic complications or, in this case, high blood pressure. So if the person I'm talking to has high blood pressure and I've shared my wife's testimonial, or you've shared my wife's testimonial and they've responded positively and they'd like to get more information, and you tell them that you have this great, fantastic video that will help them understand how nitric oxide therapy will help address their high blood pressure. If you give me your email address, I'll make sure that I send you the link to this video. They give you their email address. You can then come onto this page. You can right-click, copy video URL, and then you can paste that up into an email to the person. Dear Joan, great meeting you today. Sorry that you've been dealing with your high blood pressure. You know, like I shared with you, my colleague's wife, Sherry, saw her blood pressure go from 160 over 90 down to 112 over 68, all because she applied nitric oxide therapy. Here's the link to the video that I told you about. Then you put the link. After the link, please watch this. If you've got questions, call me immediately. If not, I'll touch base with you in a couple days to see if there's any questions that you might have on how nitric oxide therapy could maybe be a natural way to help you address your high blood pressure. However you want to sign off on that, and then you send your email. And if you're going to follow up with a person 2 days later, then follow up with them 2 days later, especially if you've gotten their phone number so that you can do that. But there's a location for you to find the major areas where nitric oxide therapy, because when you deal with people, I can guarantee you that if you're in a room of 100 people and you ask people to raise their hand for anyone in the room either have or know someone who has high blood pressure, raise your hand. And you'll see over half the room raise their hand. And then if you tell them, okay, I want you to keep your hands up. Now, anyone either have or have a loved one that's dealing with diabetic complications, raise your hand. And if you do that, you're going to see that close to 80% or more of the room will have their hands held up. So diabetic complications, high blood pressure, those are the two key areas that you can build a great deal of attraction around with regards to nitric oxide therapy and a powerful testimonial to create interest so that they'll want to learn how this nitric oxide therapy can actually help them. Now, also, when you go onto our Synergy family, you'll see another icon, last row, all the way to the right, that says testimonials. And if you click on it, one of the things that we've tried to do is provide you with a page that has testimonials on that page. Now, here's a great testimonial from David Munoz on diabetic complications and how it improved his health and how it improved the health of his father. Watch the video. Take the key points that David talks about and then write it into a narrative. Again, when we go back to our presentation and we go back to this here, facts tell but stories sell. So take the information and write it into a narrative. That's what I did here. I first wrote my wife's testimonial in a narrative, and then as I read it out loud, it was okay, but I could do a better job. And so I took that and I condensed it down to 1, 2, 3, 4. I condensed it down to 4 lines. A paragraph. A narrative. And that's what you want to do. You want to take the information and boil it down into a narrative that will have impact. If you're dealing with an athlete, there's some great athletic performance testimonials here. We talked about the before and after. This testimonial from Jessica Storch will give you an idea of a before and after, or Pat Wheely's athletic performance testimonial will help you to see a before and an after, and then in his testimonial, he does an experiment. Everyone was telling him that all his improvements were all in his head. So he went off the product. And 2 weeks later, he was back to feeling the same aches and pains that he had before he started on using nitric oxide therapy. Now, these older testimonials are done in relationship to ProArts 9 Plus. If we were doing them today, we would have them do them in relationship to nitric oxide therapy. So how do we get then to the product ProArts 9 Plus? Well, I can tell you from experience that when people see what nitric oxide therapy can do for them, they want to know, how do they go about doing it? And that's where you can then bring in our product of choice. So I typically will do the following. Well, our product of choice is ProArts 9 Plus from Synergy Worldwide. There are hundreds of products in the marketplace, but we've chosen ProArts 9 Plus because it's recognized by the medical community, actually been listed for 6 straight years in their physician's desk reference as, quote, the highest quality L-arginine supplement in the world, end of quote. It's also the only clinically proven L-arginine supplement in the marketplace. It's clinically proven to produce higher levels of nitric oxide, do it more rapidly than L-arginine alone. And the other nice thing about it, it's clinically proven to prevent vascular inflammation, which is the underlying cause of almost all cardiovascular health issues. It comes with 262 verified quality assurance steps so that I know that I and my clients are always going to get the same reproducible results. And if you decide to use this product, it comes with a 120-day money-back guarantee. So you can put that product to the test, and if you feel it hasn't benefited you, then you can return the product for a full refund on the cost of the product. So what would you like to do? I come back with a question. Now, I don't have that information in front of me. I don't have that information on, my prepared information for you this morning, but I have it memorized. And I may not always use all 4 unique selling properties of ProArts 9 Plus. It depends upon the situation that I'm in, the amount of time that I have, what I think would be beneficial to that individual. But it's like, I have it memorized. And because I have it memorized, I can adapt it. So for example, I've got a person who calls me on the telephone. We've gone through this information. He says, well, why should I use your product? That's a question on that person's part. So what I do is I say, that's a great question. You're right. Why should you use my product? Because there's hundreds of other ones out there. And here's what I would say to you. ProArts 9 Plus is recognized by the medical community, been listed for 6 years in their physician's desk reference as, quote, the highest quality L-arginine supplement in the world, end of quote. That's not me. That's the physician's desk reference telling you that. It's also clinically proven. Clinically proven to produce higher levels of nitric oxide and do it more rapidly than using L-arginine alone. And it's clinically proven to prevent vascular inflammation. And the nice thing about this product, 262 verified quality assurance steps. That guarantees you that this product's going to work. And if for some reason it doesn't, it comes with a 120-day money-back guarantee. You will not find that guarantee on any other nitric oxide supplement in the marketplace. So what do you want to do? And then I just be quiet. He or she has asked me a question. I've indicated our product of choice, the reasons why, to help validate why this product as opposed to all the other ones in the marketplace. And I come back with a question. what do you want to do? And then I just keep my lips shut so that the person can respond and tell me where they're coming from. So all the things that we've been trying to share with you, through the different Saturday presentations that we do are all designed to improve your skills so that as you engage people through the art of asking questions to begin to create interest, and as you create interest in listening to people share their health concerns like high blood pressure, to be able to take that high blood pressure concern and match it up with a powerful testimonial. With another question, would you like more information on how nitric oxide therapy could be a natural way to address your high blood pressure? Not a natural way to address high blood pressure, but notice that emphasis, your high blood pressure. You want to make it personal to them. And when they tell you yes, and you share with them that you can provide them with a link to a video, rather than me telling a person, I'd rather send them the video link. Why? Because one, the video will speak to their needs. It's third-party validation, and it gives me a reason to make a follow-up phone call to that individual. Did you get the video? Did you get my email? Have you had a chance to watch the video? So what stood out in that video to you? All those things that you're doing is building relationship and rapport and trust. And then at some point in time, they're going to ask you that magical question, well, how do I go about doing this? Well, my wife used our product of choice, which is ProArts 9+ from Synergy Worldwide. And the reason why we decided to use that product over all the hundreds of other products that are out there is because it's recognized by the medical community, listed for 6 straight years in the physician's desk reference. It's clinically proven. It's clinically proven to produce higher levels of nitric oxide and do it more rapidly than using L-arginine alone. And from a quality assurance standpoint, there's 262 verified steps in the production of that product. And the other thing was they guaranteed it. They gave us a 120-day money-back guarantee on the product, so we could put it to the test. And if it didn't work, we knew that we could at least get all our money back on the cost of the product. Well, the nice thing about that product is it worked. As I shared with you, my wife's blood pressure went from 160/90 down to 112/68. So what would you like to do? And then you just be quiet and let them tell you where they want to go. Now, with that said, do I have any questions from anyone with regards to the information that I've shared with you this morning? Everyone's muted, so you'll have to go in and unmute yourself to be able to share. Okay, someone put something in the chat box. Let me see what that could be. Thanks, Bob. Anyone with any questions or comments before we close today's presentation?
So, Dan, it's Judy.
Yes, Judy.
So, the first story that you gave about the car and how the story was about the person, going across the car and all that visual in there, and you could see the car stopping, and that just brought so much power into that testimonial, where the person that was telling the story could have said, we have visual sight lines that will prevent someone from a human from being run over within 15 feet of the visual aspects of 365 degrees of the person going behind the car. And what does that tell you? It's confusing, it's full of numbers, and it just doesn't paint that picture.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to paint that picture, someone said to me the other day, okay, I'm going to say a word to you, elephant. So what do you see? Well, you see an elephant. You don't see a word. You don't see the letters. You see the visual.
Sure.
And so that's where our minds go. And the power of the testimonial, I mean, this is just so priceless, because I was the same as you. I loved giving those facts, those figures, those benefits and those options to customers. But when you can engage them in a story, it just gets the blood flowing.
Yeah, and Judy, the ad that's on TV is most likely a 60-second ad. But my narration of that story took me longer than 60 seconds. And I come back to this reason number 6. Video testimonials create more impactful landing pages. They talk about the power of a video testimonial. And that's basically what that ad is. It's a video testimonial without any words. The images tell the story better than me actually verbalizing the story. And so again, there's so many different ways that you can use these testimonials to be able to help a person, to understand how what you have to offer them, nitric oxide therapy, resetting your gut health, can help them solve their pain, their situation, the thing that they're struggling with, and give them hope and be able to then, work with that person more effectively. Anything else you want to add, Judy?
No, just that. As you are saying your testimonials, bring in your own personality
Mm-hmm.
and your own words,
Mm-hmm.
because we all have our own rhythms and the way we say things, the place in the country. Bring yourself to the testimonial, even if it's not about you. And it's okay to borrow a testimonial. You don't have to use your own. When I started, I didn't have one. I borrowed testimonials.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to tell everyone, this is a secret. This is a big secret. Write it down. When you write out your testimonial, you most likely will read it in your mind. And in your mind, it might sound good. But here's the secret. You have to speak the testimonial that you write down out loud. If it does not sound like you are having a conversation with your best friend, or at least with a person that you like, then you need to work on the wording. Do not worry about whether your 8th grade or high school English teacher likes your word phrases and your punctuation. Write it the way you would speak it and talk to a person. Because if you do that, that creates an even greater connection, because people feel like, okay, this is coming from the person. It's natural. It's authentic. It's not sounds like this is rehearsed. This is memorized. And people can tell.
People can tell. That is so true. Even if they don't know that they can tell.
Right. Yep, their gut will be saying, something doesn't sound right about this. Okay, anyone else? Thank you, Judy. Anyone else with any comments or questions before we say goodbye? All right, I want to thank everyone for your time today. Next week, I am in the process of updating a video called the Pro Arts 9 Plus Advantage, and I will be premiering that updated video next Saturday and showing you how you can use that video to help you gain clients in nitric oxide therapy, as well as help people understand our product of choice and why it's our product of choice. Thanks, everyone. Have a blessed weekend. Talk to you next Saturday.